Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope you're well. Here we go again. It's another Monday, and I'm glad you're with me here as we get set to answer a whole bunch of questions. I'm going to read you something in just a moment. Today, Canadian Black Book came out with their annual Best Retained Value Awards. So in Canada, the big value guide is Canadian Black Book, and what they do is they look back at vehicles that sold 4 years ago, and they calculate the ones with the highest retained value, or the ones that are most used. Now this is vitally important because do you know what the most expensive thing is about owning a car? Is it the gasoline you put in it? No. Is it the electricity you charge it with? No. Is it the insurance that you pay every month or every year? No. The biggest cost to owning any vehicle is depreciation. So I call it the dollars in, dollars out. You want to buy a car, you put your dollars into it, and then when you go to sell it or get rid of it at the end of the lease, you get the most money out of it. And that's the dollars in, dollars out. So Canadian Black Book, they go through their winners. I'm going to do that in just a sec. First of all, I want to get a couple of pictures up here. This one is from Alex in Israel. Now just take a look at that for a moment. Doesn't that look like a G-Wagon? It looks like a two-door Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, but it's not. It's a Suzuki Jimny with a G-Wagon hood and grille stuck on it. Now that, my friends, would sell. He also sent me a video on Instagram, but I don't know how to download it on here. Anyway, I really like that. That's really cool. And then we have our next picture this is from Francisco, who sent me a picture of his 2018 Civic Si. It's new to him. And he sent it along with a good shot of the Toronto skyline in the background because that's the docks, I believe, down by Cherry Beach. Because we have the same car. We have same color, same wheels, same everything. His is just a year newer. So if you want to get a picture of your car onto the live show, send it to zach@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca, or ZACK if you're from the U.S. All right, Canadian Black Book. I just want to read you a little bit of something. So, as I mentioned, every year they look back at vehicles that were sold 4 years ago. So they just go on the MSRP, the suggested retail price, and then they calculate the ones with the highest value based on what they actually see in real time every week at the auction as dealers sell vehicles. So we'll go through first of all the vehicles that don't do so well, and then we'll get into the ones that really do well. So Canadian Black Book, the example of vehicles that lose the most value, premium luxury cars. They only held 47.6% of their value after 4 years. So they lose more than 50% of their value after 4 years. Full-size cars retain just 49.1%, and subcompact cars just a little bit better at 61.1, so make that 51.1%. Now, here are the winners on the flip side. Vehicles that you can buy and then trade in later and get the most money for them. Now, the winners of the small pickup category, they have held this streak for 12 years in a row. Number one is the Toyota Tacoma. This year, the Tacoma broke the record for the highest ever retained value. Now, think about this. This is after 4 years of ownership. A 2017 Toyota Tacoma has held an incredible 87, think about that for a second, 87.1% of its original MSRP. The Jeep Wrangler came in second, and the 911 was in there as well, and they both have a rating of 82.3%. Now, the Porsche 911 I can understand because there's not a lot of them used in the Canadian marketplace, and it's a sought-after car, and it's expensive, and it holds its value. The Wrangler has won its category for 10 years, and the overall winner this year is Tacoma. Isn't that crazy? 87% after 4 years. You buy it for $40,000 and you get 87% back. That's incredible. All right, so we got the pictures, we got the email, we got the Canadian Black Book. Now we get to your, one more thing. Don't forget to sign up to Car Cost Canada. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH, become an expert member, unlock the searches, and look for the deals that are out there. Just one thing. We picked up the Eclipse Cross from Mitsubishi today. We're going to be doing a video on that. But when I was at the dealership picking it up today, I saw the new Outlander, the Mitsubishi Outlander in person. Now, I saw the concept vehicle 2 years ago in Geneva. I got to tell you, this new top-of-the-line Outlander is nice, man. They did a really, really good job on it. So we are going to get it next week, and I will have a video on that as well. All right, let's get into the questions. Bradley saying hello, right back at you. Nice that you're here, Bradley. Velo City. Porsche North America recently reported that a 70% take rate on the new GT3 cars with a manual transmission. Do you predict other high-end sports car brands will begin offering manual transmissions again? I think Porsche is kind of a bit of a special case because those cars are a real niche. People that want to have fun to drive car in a manual transmission, they're going to gravitate towards Porsche anyway. What's interesting though is the GT3 for one generation wasn't sold at all with a manual transmission. Just realized my phone is. So it wasn't sold with a manual transmission, then they brought it back. And because this is a brand new iteration, the 992 with the GT3, I think it's front loaded with a lot of the real enthusiasts. You know, as they go forward in the next couple of years, as the vehicle is available, probably will have more PDKs in there. Because guys that go to the track know the PDK is the fastest way around. Hey, John is here. Good to see you, John. Hello from the West Coast. We have Eritrea. Hopefully I got that right, from the GTA. Nice that you're here. How much of a difference is there between the Panamera S versus the GTS? Now, I'm not sure if you're talking about which generation of S versus GTS. Typically, when you get the GTS, you get the Porsche Panamera turbo running gear, but you don't get that engine. Okay, it's detuned. In the case of the old V8 models, you got the V8 engine. You didn't get the bigger engine. So basically, look at it as the GTS is the turbo without the turbo power. So you get the better running gear, you get the bigger brakes, you get all that kind of stuff. In my opinion, the GTS is a special car, and if I was buying a Panamera, I would kind of gravitate towards it. But hell, there's nothing wrong with a Panamera S. If you're shopping for a Panamera S, good for you. And I've gone on record many times. If I had to do a cross-country bomber across the country in several days, it would be in a Panamera. Read the Volkswagen in Audi's footsteps will also stop developing internal combustion engines. Are you sold on electric as it appears the industry is? Well, one thing I want you to think about, websites and newspapers and what have you that post all of these things online, they're great at the clickbait title. What they don't tell you is the backstory on this. So when Audi comes out and Volkswagen comes out and says, "Oh, we're not making any new internal combustion engines," what they're basically saying is, we're going to continue using the existing internal combustion engines that they have developed and can continue to modify as they go through the next couple of decades. Now, a lot of people don't realize the engineering and the development that goes into an engine often is amortized over 20 to 25 years. So a brand new engine that comes out from the Volkswagen Group now could easily be used for 20 years. So it's a great headline. It gets a lot of attention. It certainly has helped spike the value of Volkswagen stock, talking about how much electrification they're going to have. But the internal combustion engine isn't going away anytime soon. Volkswagen and Audi are continuing to sell cars with internal combustion engines. They're just going to use and modify the engines they already have, which means they're not making any new ones. Okay, Stefan says, perfect sync tonight. Here's a news flash for you. I changed nothing. This camera and my setup, I unplug it from my computer and it goes over in the corner of my room. I don't touch it, and then I pull it up here and I plug it in, and the next week, away we go. So as I've said to you before, it's not me, it's YouTube. They seem to have something with the sync. I don't understand it. I have an 18 X5 35D, cool car. Is it worth to buy back after lease term end, especially with the diesel X5 discontinued? How's the value retention? What are the common problems with the diesel motor? Okay. Yeah, so you're getting into a time where you're going to be into issues potentially with maintenance on the car. My advice to you is the car is still fairly new, right? It's only 3 years old. I would, if you like the diesel, and I think diesels in large SUVs like the X5 is absolutely fantastic. If it was me and I had your car, I would keep it. I would buy it out and I would keep it. Now, just to have some peace of mind, make sure the vehicle qualifies for an extended warranty. If you can afford it, buy the extended warranty. As for known issues with the diesel engine, I don't have any off the top of my head. I would go into a BMW web forum and ask people who own the 35D like yourself. But I think a lot of people that I've spoken to who had GLE diesels, Cayenne diesels, X5 diesels, Q7 diesels, and have moved on. When you talk to them about the previous vehicles they owned with diesel, they miss them. They miss the torque. They miss the range. They miss the drivability, and the fuel economy especially. So look into it. If you're concerned about the maintenance, keep it under warranty as long as you can. It is a fantastic engine, and if I were you, I would keep it. Plus, you're not going to get another one. Like once you get rid of that, good luck trying to find another one. And you've had it since new. Put it this way. We have a Cayenne diesel as our family vehicle. I am not selling it. I am keeping it. I'm just going to keep it as long as I can because I think it's fantastic technology. Do you think Fisker has any chance this time around with the Ocean SUV? I'm just curious if you have any opinions on this. I don't really have any specific opinions on Henrik Fisker and what they've been doing there. They've been trying many different things over the years to try and get some traction. I would suggest that there's much more appetite now to invest in an electric startup company than there ever has been, especially with the valuations of stocks like Tesla and NIO and others, and seeing what happens to stock prices when companies like General Motors, like Ford and Volkswagen Group announce these big electrification plans, their stock price goes up. So I think there is an appetite for people to invest in companies like that. I don't have any insights particularly on that model. The one I'm interested in watching more closely are Rivian with the SUVs. I think they're nice looking and they have a compelling story. And then Lucid Air, like what a beautiful car. Gotham GTI, and I don't know if last week I showed you a GTI that was driven from Manhattan here to Steveston in BC. Well, this is Gotham here, and says, Zap, any thoughts on the BMW i4? How will legacy manufacturers' electric cars affect Tesla sales? Well, if you had asked me a few months ago, I was really worried about this Tesla or nothing mentality that a lot of the public have. Like, if it's not made by Tesla, then it's just a crappy car. Like, who would buy it? Tesla's always better. Well, we're starting to see a little bit of that eroding around the edges. The big story that came out over the last month or so was Model Y sales, or the domination of the Model Y in the marketplace, has shrunk because of the new Mustang Mach-E coming into the marketplace. So the Mach-E has gobbled a little bit of Tesla's thunder there, and they're getting some attention. So what I suspect with Tesla is it could be like not death by 1,000 cuts, but attrition by 1,000 cuts, if that's even a term I could make up. A more normalized market share. Having 70-80% market share kind of reminds me of General Motors back in the 50s and 60s. I don't think that they're going to stay at those lofty levels, because when you get the Mach-E coming onto the market with volume, you get the ID4 coming into the market with volume. We've seen the i4, as you mentioned, from BMW. You have the iX, their SUV, coming in. We've got Mercedes still to launch with their the GLE, not the GLE. What the hell is it called? The electric SUV, and more and more and more of them from brands that can build at scale. Now, and General Motors. Don't forget the General Motors of the Bolt. dropped the price in the United States. They dropped the price on the Bolt by $5,000 for the brand new model, and they dropped it by $8,000 here in Canada. Like, shots fired. I mean, if you're looking for a good, by the way, the Bolt is a good electric car, a great little city runabout, and you don't want to spend a ton of money. Plus, you get over 400 kilometers of range, and it comes nicely equipped. That's a pretty compelling story. Now, it isn't a Tesla, but they're gonna nibble away at the edges here. So I'm curious too. How's it all gonna go? We'll have to wait and see. Hey, I think we have a couple super chats here. By the way, last week Sean had a super chat and I missed it, but he did comment on one of the videos and I was able to reply to him. All right, first one up is Peter. Thank you for the super chat. Recently, Audi vehicles do not come with remote start in the U.S. Any aftermarket companies make a good remote start that is reliable? I don't know, because I don't live in a part of the world that gets that cold that we have people using remote starts. I just don't know, and I don't like remote starts. I think that they're bad for the environment, and they're bad for your car. Like having your car sitting idling for a long time is not good for it. So once again, find a web forum. I just don't have experience with them. We have another super chat. This is for Andrea's Stellar Off-Road Skills. Yes, Andrea did a great job. So we had the Defender out on the weekend. You might have seen the video. It dropped on Saturday. It was a load of fun. And Andrea was out in the snow, and quite a vehicle. Way too expensive. Okay, I got a story about Land Rover. Let me find my phone. This is worth reading. Okay, these are our friends. We've known them for 30 years. Okay, and they have a Range Rover Sport. All right, let me just find it here. This is all on my. This is from my friend sending me messages on Facebook. So what he did was he watched the Defender video, and then he sent me a note saying, let me just find it here. I'm sorry, I should have. We enjoyed your Defender segment, and man, are you right about reliability. Our Range Rover Sport has been in the shop for 2.5 weeks. Auto shutoff, activated in normal driving mode, sometimes shuts off. The car stalls and you need to turn the car off and on, select a gear to get rolling again. They have recreated it many times at the dealership, and they are dealing with Land Rover engineers in England to try and figure it out. No progress. They're good with the loaners, but they're sick and tired because they spent over $100,000 on this car. Now, he went on to say that he has had 4 different loaners over 3 weeks while his Land Rover is trying to get fixed, and each one of them had to go back to the dealer for problems. Now, that is a terrible record. So he has now had 5 different Land Rover or Range Rover vehicles. His is 6 months old. It's a 6-month-old car. Brand new loaners from the dealership. Each one of them had to go back because there was something wrong with them. Zoikers. That's not good. All right, let's get back to where we was. Where was we? Marky Mark, sports update on Raptors losing streak. Is Jack busy? No, Jack's at a neighbor's watching March Madness. He was pretty cocky the first... What's with this chair? Driving me nuts. He was pretty cocky the first day because his bracket was oh so strong. And then, if you've been following March Madness, everybody's bracket got blown up, including his. The used vehicle market in Moncton sucks. All nice cars are in Ontario and Quebec. John, I would suggest that the used car market right now is really tight. I'm not sure if you're following the supply chain shortages in the auto industry. So you might have heard about this computer chip shortage where car companies can't get certain chips to make components for their cars. It's causing huge headache. Now we're hearing there's shortages of other things like foam for seats and so on. So this is affecting most brands, not all brands, and some vehicles are coming in dribs and drabs. The used car market is on fire right across the country. Now, John, if you can pay for a BC car and ship it across the country, that's what I would do. This is where you want to buy a car from. There's cars here with very low mileage. We don't get the winter conditions, and there's lots of import cars here. So if you're shopping for a used car and you live in Canada, I would buy a BC car and then ship it across the country. And a dealer can help you do that. Hey Zach, if I want to buy an SUV for the long term, which one would you suggest? Out of Rogue, CRV, and RAV4, I'm seeing a trend towards electric. Is it too soon to think about buying electric? We are just at the, like, if you look at the road to electrification as at 100 steps, I've said over the last few years we're like the first 2 steps. I would say we're at maybe step 5 now, right? We're not seeing mass introductions of electric cars from brands. When you can go into the Honda store and have a CRV and then the electric equivalent right there, or you can go into a Toyota store and see a RAV4 and then the electric equivalent, and same at all of the dealers, now we're well down the road towards electrification and adoption. But in my opinion, we're at like the 5th step of a 100-step ladder towards pure electrification. We're just getting going, and every month, every 6 months, every year, there's going to be more and more electric vehicles coming into the marketplace. If it was me, I would wait, because 2 things are going to happen. First of all, there's going to be more choice, and then there's going to be price competitiveness. You've seen that already. I just mentioned the Bolt. General Motors dropped the price by $5,000 in the US, $8,000 in Canada, and they shot a cannon across the bow of everybody else who's selling an electric car now. You want to sell an electric car, you've got to be price competitive. And the General makes 10 million cars roughly around the world. They can amortize their costs across many, 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 many cars. So can Volkswagen. So can Toyota. And that's the other thing. We haven't even seen Toyota. Toyota apparently next week is going to be showing a full battery electric vehicle at one of the China motor shows. So let's wait and see what happens there. If I was going to choose one of those, I would probably go for the RAV4, just for resale value. Back to my story about Canadian Black Book. It's the dollars in, dollars out. You buy a RAV4, you pay for it, but when you go to sell it, you're going to get a lot of that money back. Andy's caught on to what I'm up to here. Keep the vehicle spelling joke going. Parth is saying, I like watching you every Monday. Thanks for doing this. It helps a lot. I appreciate it. Mark's here. Good evening, Zach. Hey, Hugh Haggis is here. One of my favorite handles. You know who we haven't seen in here? My absolute favorite is DJ Pleasure Seeking Missile. Gone missing. But Hugh Haggis is here. Hey, Zach, Audi and VW are all in on EVs as much as I love ICE. It's pretty exciting to be at the turning point of maybe the biggest change in the industry in the last century. Well, you're absolutely right. I have done, I've been asked to speak at events, and my opening line is, if I can, because it's usually written down on my PowerPoint, we are going through the biggest change in we are going through the biggest change in personal transformation. We are going through the biggest change in personal transportation since the introduction of the automobile over 100 years ago. Just think about 120 years ago, it went from horse and buggy to the motor car. The change that we're experiencing right now is bigger than that. We are going from personal transportation being internal combustion engines to electric and autonomous. It's exciting to be on this 100-step journey, this 100-step ladder that we've got to go up, but we're just getting going. And you're right, it's going to be very interesting to watch. I do believe that for a lot of people, plug-in hybrids are the way to go in the short term, and hybrid vehicles generally. And we're seeing that the adoption of hybrid vehicles is taking a major resurgence, with Toyota bringing in more and more hybrids, like the Venza, like the Sienna, like the RAV4. I mean, the sales of these things have absolutely skyrocketed, and that's a huge brand. Then you add in the plug-in hybrid, and then you come with the full battery. And I think that's the progression a lot of people can get behind. Kingsley, hello from Montreal. Our dad said we have been good little boys and girls, so he's changed our curfew to 9:30. Oh, Quebec. Well, you know, I was watching the news this morning talking about, you know, we've got to get through this next, 4 to 8 weeks before we start getting really mass adoption of inoculation, especially for the people that could really get affected the most, the elderly, frontline workers, nurses, doctors, ambulance workers, you name it. So the good news is we're getting there. You know what I find really interesting? So yeah, I feel for you, and it's good that you're being rolled back to 9:30 for your curfew. Now, didn't Florida say we're back to normal, you don't need to wear a mask? And then everybody showed up in Miami, and then they had to bring in a curfew because everybody showed up in Miami. Well, when you tell everybody you're open for business and you don't need to wear a mask, are you surprised when they all show up? I wasn't. Why do new vehicles lose so much of their value when you drive them off the lot? Is this a law? No, it's not. Do the manufacturers all get together and bribe, or lobby the government to allow this? It's got nothing to do with the car companies. It's got everything to do with the market. Okay? Now, that story that you lose 20% of the vehicle's value as soon as you drive it off the lot isn't entirely true. Like, come on. You drive it off the lot, it is depreciated because it's not a new vehicle, it's now a used vehicle. So, for example, say I can go in and buy this camera that you're watching me on here. I can go on Amazon and I can order it for $1,300. And then if some guy is selling the exact same camera, but he's selling it used on Facebook Marketplace, well, why would I give him $1,300? I'll just order it on Amazon. So in order to sell it, he's got to give some kind of discount. I've been looking at phones on the Facebook Marketplace. And, I see some people charging pretty much what you get them brand new for at the store. Like, why would I do that? So in order to motivate someone to buy your used vehicle, you have to discount it. And that's basic laws. I mean, whether you're selling a camera or a phone or a car. The issue is depreciation is not based on actual sale price. That means that vehicles like the F-150 have a much better actual depreciation because you don't lose what you didn't pay, discounts. You're right. They do not calculate in the huge discounts that happen with trucks, especially. Like you see those Ram commercials on $18,000 off and all that. That isn't calculated in. The only way they can do it is by using the MSRP because these deals change from month to month. Marky Mark, do you have special relationship with certain dealers in Vancouver because you seem to be having more cars from dealers instead of manufacturers? Well, that is true because unfortunately the pool of people like me that test drive cars here in Vancouver is much smaller than say it is in Montreal or Toronto. So the manufacturers don't support the number of press cars as well as they do. Say if I lived in Toronto, I'd have no issue getting many of the cars that we want to get. So because Andrea and I are trying to really get the cars that you want to see, and maybe they're not available in the typical press fleet, we do have a relationship with some of the dealer groups to get them. And they like the relationship because we say we got them from them. It's a little bit of a plug for them, but they've never told us what we can or cannot say. They just let us borrow the car for a couple of days, and the good news is you get to see them. Mark N says the Mitsubishi Outlander looks amazing. It does. Like, I have to say, it's a really striking looking vehicle. So I'm looking forward to getting it. We're getting it next week, and the video will drop soon after that. I want to make sure I didn't miss any other super chats. Ken is asking, what's the best resource to find accurate trade-in values for vehicles? Auto Trader, Canadian Black Book, or Kelly Blue Book or Canadian Black Book seem to differ by thousands of dollars. Kelly Blue Book is new into the marketplace. I would go with Canadian Black Book. It has been sort of like the staple in our industry here for many, many decades. I would go by those. And also, you can sort of calculate going on the wholesale prices and then see what people are asking for them as used. What's going to happen with people who love cars, hate SUVs in the future? Well, in every category, there are going to be winners and losers, right? So yes, the car market is shrinking, but there's going to be main players. Like in the mid-size car space, there's Camry and Accord, and then there's everybody else. Like they're way down here. Like Camry and Accord, they sell the best, and they have the highest resale value as well. And then everybody else. Like you've got Altima and Mazda 6, and they're way down here. So as time goes by and less people buy mid-size sedans, they will be the winners, and they'll be the ones that stick around. Same thing with compact cars. You've got Corolla, you've got Civic, and you've got Elantra. Those are the three big ones, right? So as time goes on and the compact car market gets smaller, you have everybody else, but those three will probably be around, right? I suspect that the large car market, like you've got the Maxima, you've got the Passat, it's even hard to think of the Avalon. For large cars, I think that category could disappear altogether. Because most people would be quite happy with an SUV at that stage. And then you get into the specialty cars. So you're going to have, cars like the Supra and the BMW Z4 and stuff like that. There's going to be more of the enthusiast crowd. But I think what's going to happen is the number of offerings in each category, whether it's compact cars or mid-sized cars, is going to shrink. And there'll just be the winners, and that'll be it. I love this. Kanara is saying, give it a thumbs up, guys. Yeah, give it a thumbs up. So there's 250 plus people on right now and 64 thumbs up. You guys should smash it. Smash it for me. Any idea about Mazda CX5 update for Canada? I don't have any information on that. There's all the chatter about there being a CX50, a bigger vehicle, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure about that. Any idea about Mazda CX5 update for Canada versus US infotainment and 360-degree camera? So you obviously watched the video we did about 2 weeks ago on the CX5, which Andrew and I both like. Andrea loves it more than me, but I do like it. I just found, as you mentioned, the head unit, the radio, the infotainment system the screen is small, it's slow, and no 360-degree camera. I'm kind of with you on that. That needs to be updated, but it is something, even if they don't change the rest of the car, they could update with the available larger screen, the 10-inch screen that they have sold in the United States. So that could easily come for 2022. So that's, if you think about it, that's just a few months away. That would be like September, October. So my advice to you is, if you're not in a rush and you like the car but you don't like the radio, maybe wait and see what happens for the fall, because if they're going to do it, that's when you would see it. Just picked up a 2021 X3, well equipped and also leased. Our first German engineered vehicle. Highly impressed. Peter, you will like this because our review of the X3 drops on Saturday. Oh, by the way, tomorrow the Volvo XC40 Mercedes-Benz GLA comparison drops. Wednesday, you're getting a midweek bonus. It's the BMW 440 with the piggy snout. Saturday is the X3. Peter just got one. And then on Friday, the day before that, is going to be a 2017 or 16 Cayman S on the kind of the Survivor series. So lots of stuff coming up this week. Sunny Lee is saying, I saw your Motoring TV episode with the family in Collingwood. I've watched the show since I was a kid. What was during COVID times recently? Because that would be protocols galore. No, Sonny, there was a nice little window that we had in the late summer, early fall, where all of the protocols weren't ramped up. Plus, it was done in Collingwood, so it was different. Oh, by the way, we are looking for some extra volunteers to do some segments for Motoring TV. Okay, so these one of them is in Ontario, and it's going to be with the Corolla family of vehicles. So you might be able to help out with this. We're looking for a young couple, say early 30s, a young couple that may be wanting to buy their first brand new car. And we're going to offer them the Corolla hatch, and the Corolla hybrid to drive to see which one they like, what they like about each one of them. So if you know somebody, maybe you're that person, and you're a young couple looking to try these cars and maybe buy your first brand new car, you can send it to me, Zach@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca. And then the other one we're doing is here in the Vancouver area. So if you live in Vancouver, we're doing a couple of Subaru videos, one on the Crosstrek and the other one on the Ascent. So we're looking for a family of 4 to take the Ascent out for a couple of days and test drive it and let us know what they think of it. So if you have smaller kids, under 10 for example, that would be absolutely perfect. And for the Crosstrek, we're looking for same kind of thing, an outdoorsy kind of fun couple that maybe likes to go hiking, all the stuff that you would do with a Crosstrek. So if you fall into any one of those categories, they're upcoming for the TV show. Send me your information, Zach@motormouth.ca. The best thing is to do a quick little 30-second video with your cell phone telling me who you are, why you want to be involved, and we'll take it from there. I forgot to do that off the top. Let me see if I have a super chat here. Did I miss one? There it goes. I missed it. There it is. Super chat. We don't want to see you. Where's your wife? Keep the great work coming. Thank you. Well, Ling Ma, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. Really? Thanks a lot. It's always one, right? Always one. Gotta find where I was here. Sorry, guys. Zach is saying we need more likes. Okay, we're up to 280 people on board right now, and we have 106 likes. But we could get more. That would be great. Can used cars be rolled back in odometer? Noticing a lot of cars with really low kilometers. I think anything can be done, to be honest with you. I don't really know because I don't do that. I don't know. I suspect it probably can be done, but I don't know how it's done. Sorry, people are... do you think the current gen C43 and C63 will hold their value long term due to the AMG going 4-cylinder and electric? That's a very good question. And probably in the short term, no. Because when a new car comes out, it's a new car. And especially in that segment, the sort of entry-level luxury sedan segment, people lease them. And they're just wanting to get the newest and the latest. And they could care less because most people buy the 4-cylinder anyway, right? So most people buy the C300. That's the one most people get. But as time goes on, and those models, the C43 and the C63 are gone, so what you do is you get this kind of dip. And then as the years go by, people start to go, you know what? I wouldn't mind picking up one of those C63s and keeping it and putting it away because it is, as you mentioned, going away. So I would say probably not initially, but it would eventually. And if you want to buy one and keep it, I don't think it's a bad idea. Gary's here. Hi, Zach, from Carleton Place in Ontario. Nice to have you here. Thinking about the Chinese-made BMW iX3, but how does it compare to the German-built i4? I don't know what the differences are. What I will tell you is that what is that? Oh, it's on the screen. I thought there was something on there. Anyway, you have to know that the biggest production facilities that all of these car manufacturers have, they're not in Germany. They're in China. It is the biggest car market in the world. Volkswagen, for example, sells so many cars in China compared to what they sell in North America and other places. So they know how to make cars in China for the Chinese market. I wouldn't get all hung up on whether it was made in Germany or in the United States or in China. If it's built to the BMW standard, that's how it's made. Juliet, have you driven the Volkswagen Taos yet? If so, what do you think compared to the previous generation Tiguan? No, they haven't landed yet, and there's going to be an event for the launch of the Taos in the United States, but because of the border situation, we're not going to be able to go from Canada, so they're trying to get something together here for us in Canada, so we'll have to wait and see, but no, I haven't driven it yet. Hey Zach, what family SUV would you recommend when it comes to a 7-seater? I'm looking at the Hyundai Santa Fe versus the Mazda CX9. Hands down, the Kia Telluride. If I was buying a 7-seater SUV, I would just go right to the Kia dealer and buy that. Consumer Reports gave it its highest ranking ever, apparently, for a 3-row SUV. It's just a great product. The Hyundai Palisade is the cousin vehicle. That would be my other choice. The other ones you're talking about are fine. I would have no problem looking at the CX9, but the Santa Fe is no longer sold as a 7-passenger. You're talking hopefully about the previous generation. I live in an apartment, so electric cars are not a good thing for me. Yes or no? No, it depends where you work. Joan, will you be able to get a chance to plug the car in at work? Because if you do, then that wouldn't be the end of the world. Do you think the Hyundai Staria space van will come to Canada? No, I don't think so. Did you hear about nitrogen fill in tires? Dealership was trying to rip for that. Okay, if you have a dealership charging you to put nitrogen in the tires, just say, that's okay. Just put air in. Air has been working for over 100 years. Thank you very much. Now, nitrogen is more stable. It doesn't expand and contract like air does. You always say check your tire pressure when the tires are cold, because as the tires go down the road, it creates heat and the air expands. So if they offer it to you for free, say, yeah, why not? But if they offer it and you have to pay for it, say, no, thank you. Just put air in. Thank you very much. I believe it. Now, someone might be able to clarify this because I've never bought tires at Costco, but I heard at Costco they do put nitrogen in the tires and they put it in for free. Now, someone can correct me on that. It might have been, a while ago, but yeah, do not put nitrogen in and pay for it, please. Got a great deal on a 17 CRV with Car Cost Canada. That's great. Truman is asking, what are you wearing? Planet Ocean? No, this is an Omega. The nickname is called the Great. If you're not into watches, this is like the silliest thing ever. But most watches in the watch community have a nickname. So this watch is called the Great White. This is an Omega Great White. And it's an Omega 300M, their dive watch, but with the GMT complication added and with the white dial. And they made it for several years. It didn't sell particularly well, but now they're really quite sought after because white dial watches seem to be very popular because of the Rolex Explorer, which I sold. I had one. I didn't like it. I like this one better. Would you choose a Defender or an Audi Q7? Similar demographic, but different product. They're so different, Josh. Listen, I mean, if you wanted a Defender to go off-roading and all that kind of stuff, well, you're not going to replace that with a Q7. But if you're just wanting to haul kids around and go to soccer practice, I mean, the Q7 is going to be hard to beat. The only thing with the Q7 is that turbocharged V6 have been around for a long time. They have other engines at their disposal, like the 2.9 liter twin turbo that's available like at 450 horsepower. I wish that engine was available. However, you can get the SQ7 with the V8. Now that, my friend, is something. And since my internet came back, hit the like button, folks. Support Zach. Appreciate that. Over 300 people on board now and 140 likes. So appreciate when you do that. Only 2 thumbs down. I'm okay with that. That's water off my back. Why do you think Subaru and Infinity are going as manufacturers? Do they appear to be selling much? Well, one, I will tell you, is absolutely having record sales, and that is Subaru. So just because you're not seeing Subarus where you are, they are selling incredibly well. I was speaking to somebody at Subaru a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me they had an excellent 2020, even in light of the COVID situation. So they're quite happy with the sales. Yeah, they have some new products I think are coming in the next little while. Now, if you're talking about Infinity, that's a different story. Now, Infinity needs to get that QX60 into the market like yesterday. It is their best seller. So the QX60 is on a shared platform with the Pathfinder. They've shown the Pathfinder production model, now with a 9-speed automatic transmission. So I'm guessing that the QX60 will follow along the same path. No longer a CVT, thank goodness, and a 9-speed automatic transmission. We've seen the concept vehicle, very slippery and sleek, and a nice looking vehicle. So that bodes well. So the way you get into trouble, and I'm stealing this line, I always give him credit for it, is from my pal Dennis DeRosier. How car companies get into trouble is through product, and we've seen that with Infinity. Their product has been left to die on the vine for too long. I mean, you look at that Q50, as good a car as it is ancient, right? They haven't really done anything to it. But the way car companies get out of trouble, this is once again thanks to Dennis DeRosier, is through product. So just back up a year ago. Everybody was saying the exact same thing about Nissan, right? Oh, what's Nissan going to do? The whole Carlos Ghosn situation, they had all of these issues. Well, what are they going to do? And I said, well, the way they get out of a hole like that is with product. So what have we seen in the last year? We have seen the new Sentra, which is a great car. We've seen the new Rogue, beautifully designed and selling, from what I can see, quite well. And now we have the new Pathfinder coming into the marketplace, which looks way better than it ever has in a long time. So product. So Infinity could get out of this, but they're really going to have to work at it. Okay. Oh, here's Gary's thing got cut off earlier. Got a great deal on a 17 CRV. Now only has 25,000 on it. Hope Honda has fixed the oil dilution issue. Yeah, well, hey, listen, if you've been driving it and you've got 25,000 kilometers on it and you haven't experienced that issue, then you're probably fine. Eventually, all car manufacturers will turn out to be electric. Volvo is the next one within the luxury range, and BMW as well. Yeah, they're all going to eventually fall. Now, when they say all electric, is that a little bit of a cheat by saying plug-in hybrids? Because, that might be the bridge until they totally go full electric. We're going to have to wait and see. What's your favorite car you've driven since last spring? Last spring. What's my favorite car since last spring? Oh, I think that, it was our favorite car that ended 2020 was the Cadillac CT5V. Just was a great all-around car. Hey, Zach, do you think there'll ever come a time where gas is no longer available? Well, we could get there, but I'm not sure what you're going to do with all of these legacy products. For example, if tomorrow no longer internal combustion engines were allowed to be sold and only electric cars, well, the existing fleet of cars that's on the road are so reliable and well made, they'll run for 10 to 15 years, right? So even if we only sold electric vehicles tomorrow, you would still have to supply fuel to the existing fleet of cars. And we're talking hundreds of millions of cars around the world. So as you start to see electrification take off, and then you start to see internal combustion engines come down, well, all of those vehicles have to continue to be serviced and move forward. So I don't see gasoline going away anytime soon until you get rid of all the old vehicles. CX3 or Hyundai Kona, what do you think of Hyundai engines, specifically Kona? Well, they have two engines in the Kona. I like the Kona more than the CX3 as much as I like Mazdas. I just think it's a great vehicle. If you're not in a rush, there's going to be a facelifted Kona coming in the next few months, okay? With a new look. Not drastic, a facelift. But when they do facelifts at Hyundai, they typically give more than other manufacturers. So this is a good time for you to go on to Car Cost Canada and watch the Konas. As a new one comes, they might actually discount the existing model and you get a good deal on one. Or you wait for the new one to arrive and maybe get one then. But the only way to know what the real deals are is to follow it month after month. So the choice would be Kona for me. If you can opt for the higher horsepower 1.6 liter turbo with the dual clutch transmission, that's the one I would go for. It's a nice little car, a lot of fun, and really handles well. Hey Zach, 6-7 seater SUV, what are the top 3 and why? Thanks and keep up the awesome content. It's Telluride number 1, Palisade number 2, and probably Highlander number 3. Just because I think the Korean cousins have nailed it, and then you got to go Highlander just because it's Toyota and great resale value. What do you think about the Audi Q9? Do you think Audi should release something against the Q7 and GLS? I don't really know much about that, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, listen, car companies are in business to sell lots of cars. I mean, if they see the X7 doing well, they might go after them. Mike here with a sobering comment. EV is not going to take off off as it should. The infrastructure is not there yet. That is a major consideration. You know, it's as much as governments want and people believe that everyone's rushing towards electrification, and they're not. If you look at the real numbers, the adoption of electrification is picking up momentum, but it's still tiny in comparison to the internal combustion engine sales. So yes, they're picking up steam, but it's still quite small. Okay? If we had a mass adoption, like 50% of people buying electric cars in the next 2 years, I don't know if the infrastructure could keep up with that. Just look at what happened in Texas with the cold weather and the blackouts they had to deal with. So yeah, it's a major problem, I'm sure, for a lot of utilities trying to figure out what the loads are going to be like. The good news is in jurisdictions, in parts of Canada, we have nice clean energy. Like here in BC, we have hydro, that's water, developed electricity. Same in Quebec. We do have some of that in Ontario, but not much. So yeah, it's going to be a real problem. I'm buying a 17 Mazda 3 tomorrow. This is my first car. Insurance is expensive for me, $200 per month. Dude, it's almost like a rite of passage. Everybody has to take it, a kick in the ass when it comes to insuring your first car. It is expensive. I know it. But keep a clean record, drive well, and the number will come down as you go along. Hey, Zach, you going to review the Mustang Mach-E? Yes, when I get my hands on it. Ford, when are you sending one? How can someone pay 87% of the original price for a regular used 4-year-old car truck, especially if the model is still offered as a new one? Okay, now you're referencing the Canadian Black Book Best Retained Value Award. Now, one thing I didn't include in that is our American cousins to the south. So when these vehicles go into the auction, a lot of the buyers of like a 4-year-old Tacoma or a 4-year-old Wrangler that maybe has lower miles on it are American dealers. And they buy them in Canada using the stronger American dollar. So they bid up these cars because their dollar is worth more. They take the Wrangler or the Tacoma across the border. And of course, they have to do any kind of modifications like the speedometer and what have you into miles instead of kilometers. And then they sell them as used in the United States. So you might not realize if you're in the United States, if you're buying a used Tacoma or a used Wrangler or whatever, it might have actually spent its first 4 years here in Canada. So that's one of the reasons why used vehicle prices in Canada are so high, because Americans with a much bigger market are are picking off the ones that they want, and they can bid up the price because they're paying with a more powerful currency. So that's a big part of it. What PHEV should I get? Well, depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for an SUV, well, good luck getting a RAV4 Prime. The Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV is the world's best-selling plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, but new vehicles have come into the market, and the existing one doesn't have the range, compared to the RAV4 Prime. However, they are updating it, and it should be arriving soon. This year, there's going to be a Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV with more range. However, it's going to be on the existing platform, the existing car, not the new sexy-looking one that we were talking about earlier. But I'm sure that will get changed in the next year or so. So they're going to sell the existing one for a while. I'm not sure when they're going to switch over to the new model, but they will at some time. Bradley's Car Reviews. Hey, Zach, what would you recommend renting for a road trip to Florida from Georgia? Armada, Tahoe, Yukon, QX80, or Expedition? Ooh, Expedition's nice. I like the Armada. I like all of them. They're all excellent. The QX80 and the Armada are the same, basically. You get nicer seats and stuff in the QX80. The Tahoe and the Yukon, they're basically cousins, right? Same basic platform. And the Expedition has the 3.5-liter turbo with 380 horsepower, I think it is. They're all good choices. They're all body-on-frame SUVs. There's no wrong answer there. I do like the Armada. The one thing I'll say about the Tahoe and the Yukon is they have what's called cylinder management in their V8 engines. So when you're cruising down the motorway, the highway, the interstate, whatever you want to call it, at steady speeds with not much load, half of the cylinders will switch off. And it really does save you quite a bit of fuel. The Infinity and the Nissan do not have this technology. So they use more gas. And then Ford relies on having a V6 turbo to get better fuel economy. But I do like the General Motor vehicles because of that. Okay, we had another super chat come in. A 2020 banger. Nice. Will Overkill. Looking at a RAV4 Prime, but they're nearly like finding a unicorn. Camry Hybrid is my second choice. Has there been any mention of a Prime version coming? No, I haven't heard anything on the Camry. The one thing I will tell you about Toyota is they keep it close to their chest. I have been on so many trips with Toyota. In fact, I went, to the last Tokyo Motor Show with the executives of Toyota, had a few Japanese beers late at night talking about all this stuff. They don't tell you anything. They don't want to tell you. So I could ask. They're not going to tell me what their plans are. But yeah, it would be a good, you know what? If you can't get the RAV4 Prime, just get the RAV4 Hybrid. That would be what I would buy. Excellent resale value. If you missed it earlier, we talked about vehicles that hold their value. Sedans are losing their value faster than SUVs. So it might not be a bad idea to get the RAV4 Prime, maybe even lease it for 2 years. Put your name on a waiting list for a RAV4 Prime, and then when it comes in, flip into that. Another super chat from Hogtown Biker. Thank you very much. No question, but I appreciate that. All right, let me go back here. See where I was. Where was you, Jack? Anyway, we have 159 thumbs up. Oh, here we are. I'll answer a couple more. Don't forget to sign up to Car Cost Canada while you're at it today. And why are Lexus SUVs so boring? Boring sells. There's a big market for boring. Now, you're on this channel watching a car guy talking to another car guy, or a bunch of car guys, and maybe some women too. We're into it. We get it. We're all about the design and the interior and the horsepower and the handling and all that. You know us, this group here, it's a small percentage of car buyers. Most car buyers know nothing about cars. They just want it to start, they just want it to run, and they want to get some good money when they go to sell it. And that's how they sell cars. That's how Lexus sells. What's a good SUV for towing a teardrop camper? Well, teardrop campers are pretty light, so you need to really check the tow rating of a vehicle. and see how much the trailer tows. Most midsize SUVs, midsize, so we're talking those 3-row SUVs, are 5,000 pounds. There's a few exceptions where you get 6,000, like the Pathfinder, and even some exceptions where you get higher than that, like the Durango. The Durango is one of the best towing ratings in the business. But when you get into the compact utilities like the RAV4s and so on, tow ratings are around 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. So do your homework on how much the trailer weighs and then start shopping for vehicles accordingly. Any 911 updates, new features, new power specs, etc.? Well, they just announced the GT3 a little while ago. I'm not sure if you saw that. So that's new power. The 911's only a year or so old, so no, I don't think they're going to be bringing anything out soon. We got Grand Rapids in the house. Nice to see you. All right, we are now... Oh, I want to say hi to Robert because I love Newfoundland. Hi from Western Newfoundland. Enjoy your work. Have a good night. Love Newfoundland. So when a car company sends an invite to go on a car event and it says Newfoundland, I'm like, get me my kitty vitty beer, get that fresh air, scenery, the accent, the people. So good. And what a beautiful part of the world. So because I was so fortunate with all of these car trips to travel all over the world, and I've said this many times, so people ask me, what are your favorite places to go? And 2 of them are in Canada, Newfoundland, and then Yukon Territory. Up in the Whitehorse area, oh my God, spectacular. So there you go. We are all done for tonight. It has been 1 hour, my friends. Thank you to everybody that's been on board. If I don't read your question on air, I do read them after the fact. So thank you to everybody. So coming up tomorrow, it's the Volvo XC40 and the Mercedes. That's going to drop tomorrow. Wednesday, it's the BMW 440. Full review with Andrea and myself. Friday, it's going to be the sort of classic car with the Cayman S. And then on Saturday, it's the X3, the full review with Andrea and myself. So there you go. Lots and lots. Oh, somebody just wrote something about the TLX. I just got an email before I went live on here. The first allocation of the TLX, the S, what is it called again? Oh my God, this is terrible. The high performance version is already sold out. Can you believe that? S-Type, there you go. I was thinking S-Line. The S-Type has already sold out online. So that's good for Acura. And I'm glad to see that enthusiasts are picking that car up. All right. Thanks to everybody. I will talk to you later. Enjoy your night. Bye now.